I want to take a moment of presidential privilege and to just provide you with a reflection on what's been going on over the last couple weeks and what's going to happen in the next several days. And that has to do with the election. You know, colleagues, in our ongoing efforts to strengthen the hack community in a time of rising tensions and ideological divide, I want to discuss a topic that has caused feelings of fear, despair, anger, hopelessness in many of our Black colleagues, our Black students, and Black members of our communities and their allies. What follows are my reflections that I've had after speaking and listening to you, my colleagues, students, community members, community leaders who are both Black and white. You know, next week's election means different things to different people. On election day, many people will cast their vote, watch the election results over the course of the week, and eventually learn who won those various races. For many of us, regardless of how we vote, the election season has been long, tiring, and in some cases, a source of worry. It may feel like an annoyance, something that we all just want to see to come to an end. But colleagues, for many of our Black colleagues, this presidential election means more than it's ever meant before. And no matter who wins, there is fear in our Black colleagues. I want to have that sit with you for a minute and let that sink in. The presidential election means that no matter who wins, people will fear for their lives. White supremacists, including identified groups in Pennsylvania that have been captured in the newspaper recently, are already threatening violence against Black people, many of our peers, our colleagues, no matter who wins the election. These white supremacists will either be emboldened by the election results or angered by them. No matter what, many Black people do not feel safe and are understandably planning for the worst. I, like you, regularly engage in discussions about race with people like my husband, friends, colleagues, students, and mentees, both who are Black, white, and people of color. As a white gay man, I will never fully understand what our Black colleagues, students, and friends are experiencing, but I, like you, can empathize with them. I hear and acknowledge their fears, and I'm sure that you have heard fears from your colleagues and your students. I see, like you, what's happening in the country, and I see that their fear is real and is becoming justified. Like you, I do not have the same experiences to relate to them, but I can empathize with them and with those that are going through this experience. If you're saying to yourself right now, as I bet some are, I don't see it, I don't get it, I don't understand it, I don't really think what you're saying is real, because that's not my reality. Please look closer. If you take a look at Penn Live, or you take a look at any of the periodicals that you may read, or any of the podcasts that you listen to, the television reports that we are able to get almost 24/7 regarding a range of insidious activities that are occurring nationwide in places like St. Petersburg, Florida, where there are reports of armed guards who are standing outside of voting places in neighborhoods that would never experience that. In Memphis, Tennessee, where voters are being turned away from the voting places because they're wearing masks or t-shirts that say Black Lives Matter. Or even here in Pennsylvania, somebody read Penn Live recently, the groups in Pennsylvania that are coming together, depending on what happens in the election and what they may do to individuals in their communities is real. Maybe like you, I am in disbelief and I don't understand how in 2020 something like this can happen. But ladies and gentlemen, we need to use our voices. We need to use our platforms. I'm trusting that our faculty are using their voices in the classroom and outside the classroom. Those who are at our welcome desk, those who are in financial aid, that you're using your voice, you're using your platform so that you can talk about the value we espouse in the college of inclusion, inclusivity. It is a value that each and every one of us espouse as employees of this college. I, like you, I hope will use both my voice and my platform to fight against racial injustices, racial terrorism that are occurring not only in our communities, but throughout the country. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask you to join me in being mindful of the following realities. Many of our Black students and many of our colleagues are hurting and experiencing trauma. I just heard from 3 of our colleagues this morning, tears of fear. Next week and potentially the weeks that follow, through no fault of their own, will be difficult for them. They're afraid for their families and for themselves. Students who have talked to me, and I know talked to many of you about what to do depending on what the outcome may be for the election. Afraid to leave their homes. Many are planning on stocking up on food and water and other necessities so they don't have to leave their homes. They're being traumatized by 2 pandemics. One, the coronavirus, and the other, racism. Some of them, again, including our students and colleagues who I and you hear from, are buying firearms. Yes, they are buying firearms for the first time in their lives to protect their families, their homes, and themselves. Even though this topic is not about politics, and I really want you to know that, please do not misconstrue my words or my intent. I'm not making any of these statements so that you will vote one way or another or who you should support. I want to make that very, very clear. I know my words will be used and misconstrued, but I want you to know that the statements I make to you today are from my heart, the reflections that I have come to feel because of what I hear from our colleagues, our students, and members of our community. This topic is about 3 things, I believe. It's about humanity, it's about decency, and it's about democracy, period. No matter how you vote, no matter our race and no matter who we are, we have the right to live in our country without fear of being targeted, attacked, and murdered because of the color of our skin. You know, as you read history, and if you read real history, you will come to understand that this country was built by the ancestors of our Black colleagues and students. They should not feel unsafe in their country, in our country. You know, as I close, there's a quote that I saw recently in a conversation we had as we were reading White Fragility, the book. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. I believe it's important for many of us as white people to keep this quote in mind and to keep our privilege in mind today, tomorrow, and at all times. The fact that some members of our Black community, our colleagues who are our friends and our neighbors and our students, are fearful, no matter the results of the election, that should make us all feel outraged. As I said at a Harrisburg event recently, you do not have to be Black to be outraged. White people should especially feel outraged and be motivated to speak out for others who do not enjoy the privilege, that white privilege. Over the next couple weeks and beyond, please note the following expectations that I have for myself and that I have for all HACC employees. Please demonstrate empathy to our Black colleagues and our students. Many of them I know have talked to several of you, they are not okay. Realize our Black students and employees are experiencing trauma and fear that most of us white people will never experience or understand. Support and approve time off for your Black employees if they need to take time off to focus on their mental health. Don't question their reasons for requesting that time off. Work with your Black students to establish new deadlines if they need more time to complete assignments due to the racial terrorism that they are experiencing. Listen, really listen to our colleagues and students if they need to vent or talk or express an emotion, and don't betray their trust. My expectations are not up for discussion or debate. Cabinet level supervisors and individuals in the Office of Human Resources need to know immediately if members of our HACC community are experiencing any form of racial terrorism. I do expect that each and every HACC employee will join me in adhering to these expectations. I do expect each and every supervisor to appropriately address and discipline those employees who do not adhere to these expectations. Finally, as I have said over the years, anyone who could possibly take issue with talking about demonstrating humanity, decency, and democracy is strongly encouraged to find employment elsewhere. And I know our colleagues under the Classified Employee Organization and the Faculty Organization stand strongly behind that with their recent statements. Again, humanity, decency, and democracy are not up for discussion. If you have any questions about what I have said or anything else that we have related to these issues, please submit them via the online form, hacc.edu/feedback. Black lives do matter. Thank you.